This is John. John has arrived at the gates of heaven. Hello, John.
Hi there. Can you tell me why I'm here?
Well, John, you're a smoker, aren't you? And I'll bet you didn't know that cigarette smoke contains over 4,000 chemicals, including 43 known cancer-causing compounds and 400 other toxins.
Oh, goodness me. That's really bad. But why has that led me to here?
Well, John, over the years it has been identified that there is a cause and effect relationship between smoking and lung cancer.
Oh, no.
Yes, John. I'll tell you this. In the early 1900s, lung cancer was a rare disease, but by the 1930s and 1940s, an increase in lung cancer incidence was becoming obvious, although there were other factors which were thought to be causing this. In the late 1940s and early 1950s, it became evident that deaths relating to lung cancer were a huge problem, and in 1950, 2 large case control studies were published. Both found a large increase in the risk of lung cancer associated with smoking. The study by Dolan Hill in the UK found a 14-fold increase in the risk for smokers compared to non-smokers. Similarly, the American study by Winder and Graham found that the risk was 7-fold higher. Dolan Hill sent questionnaires about smoking habits to almost 35,000 male British doctors in 1951 and periodically thereafter. Deaths and causes of death were monitored for these doctors over 50 years, and results were published in 1954 and 1956. As early as 1956, Dolan and Hill had concluded, in relation to lung cancer deaths, that smokers had a higher mortality than non-smokers. Heavy smokers had a higher mortality than light smokers, and those who continued to smoke had a higher mortality than those who gave up. The cohort studies initiated in the US reported similar findings, and expert bodies eventually found the evidence that smoking causes lung cancer compelling. The US Surgeon General, for example, concluded in 1964 that smoking causes lung cancer in men, and in 1968 concluded that smoking causes lung cancer in women. The 50-year follow-up of the British doctors' study found that lung cancer mortality rates were 16-fold higher, averaged across all ages, for cigarette smokers compared with non-smokers.
Well, okay. But does that mean that I got lung cancer from smoking and now I'm here?
That could be the case, John. But not everyone who smokes gets lung cancer, and not everyone with lung cancer is a smoker.
Oh?
Do you have kids, John?
As a matter of fact, I do.
John, have you ever heard of passive smoking?
Of course.
Did you know, John, that non-smokers who live with the second-hand tobacco smoke increase their risk of lung cancer by 20 to 30%? Second-hand tobacco smoke contains 69 known cancer-causing chemicals. What some evidence shows is that smoke that burns off the end of a cigarette may be more toxic than the mainstream smoke a smoker would inhale as it goes from being fresh to aged.
You mean to say that there is not only a cause and effect relationship between smoking and lung cancer, but there is also a cause and effect relationship between passive smoking and lung cancer?
That's correct, John. And it's not just passive smoking. There are many other factors which affect your risk of lung cancer due to smoking. The risk of lung cancer increases with the number of cigarettes smoked, and the duration of smoking also. The earlier the age a person starts smoking and the longer they continue, the greater the risk. The International Agency for Research on Cancer says, stopping smoking at any age avoids the further risk increase in lung cancer incurred by continued smoking. The younger the age at cessation, the greater the benefit.
Oh, I wish I knew that. Maybe I can warn my wife? Or does smoking affect her differently because she's a female?
Well, no, John. The weight of evidence now suggests that there is little, if any, difference between women and men in their vulnerability to the carcinogenic effects of cigarette smoke. This is evident in the statistics valid as of 2004, attributing 18% of all Australian male and 10% of Australian female deaths to smoking.
Wow, you're so wise.
Well, thanks, John. You'll have to give credit to my Year 12 biology teacher for that.
He must be a great guy.
Well, yes.